happen anywhere, just turn around. We do have to cuff you up. Go ahead and put your hands behind your back.
Any chance that you're pregnant?
No.
An Ohio woman is detained by U.S. Marshals after an 8-month-old boy is found dead.
Turn around, hands behind your back. And in the middle of the panic, one detail slips out that nobody expects to hear right before an arrest. Are you pregnant? No. That's it. That's the moment.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Melanie, take.
A woman in a driveway in Ohio, gasping for air, being cuffed by U.S. Marshals, while an 8-month-old boy, who should still be alive, isn't. His name was Grant Simmons. And before you know anything else about this case, you need to know that. Not the charges, not the daycare. Him. Full of life, his obituary says.
And this was taken from his obituary. Quote, though Grant's time here was not nearly long enough, he touched the lives of all those who were lucky enough to know him. Grant was full of life and was always smiling. He enjoyed Coco Melon and his toy excavator. He will always be
Always smiling. Loved his toy excavator. Mommy's little stink, they called him.
I'm going to jump right into it here. So all of this begins on March 10th of this year. It is 1:39 in the afternoon when an officer with the East Canton Police Department responds to a home to help paramedics with a medical emergency. And this medical emergency involves an 8-month-old boy, and his name was Grant Simmons. When the officer arrives, medics were already on their way to the hospital. So the responding officer talked to a woman who was still present at the home. It's a 45-year-old woman. Her name is Melanie.
And on March 10th, in East Canton, Ohio, his life ended in a house that was never supposed to be watching him in the first place. Here's the thing, though. This isn't a story about one bad daycare in one small town.
But what you see is, unfortunately, are there hundreds and thousands of these. The only time we find out about these daycare centers being unlicensed is when a tragedy like this happens. And to have an 8-month-old die
This is a story about a system that only checks on childcare when a child is already gone. Melanie DiMarzio was watching somewhere between 5 and 10 kids that day, alone, for $45 a day, cash in hand. No CPR certification, no baby monitors, no formal emergency plan if something went wrong. And something did. Grant's mother dropped him off that morning like she'd done every morning. Went to work, trusted that when the day ended, she'd be picking her son up, not identifying him at a hospital. That's the part that should stop you cold. Because that's not some rare failure. That's a decision millions of American parents make every single week. Because licensed daycare in this country can run you thousands of dollars a month. And a lot of families simply don't have that. Now here's where it gets interesting. The civil complaint filed against DiMarzio doesn't read like an accident report.
Quote, officers learned that defendant Melanie DiMarzio did not have appropriate supervision or sleeping arrangements for infants and toddlers at the property. Defendant Melanie DiMarzio indicated she would either prepare food for children at the property or otherwise give children food provided by parents. Defendant Melanie DiMarzio did not have current CPR certification or any other medical training. It did not have any formal protocol for administering medications such as Tylenol, eye drops, or amoxicillin, but informed officers she would follow any instructions given to her by parents. Defendant Melanie DiMarzio admitted that she had no emergency plan in place for former protocol in the event of a fire or other emergency at the property. Defendant Melanie DiMarzio further acknowledged that she did not utilize any baby monitors or cameras at the property to monitor.
It reads like a checklist of things that were never supposed to happen. No appropriate sleeping arrangements for infants. No documentation of medications given to children, even something as basic as Tylenol.
Children who were housed in different areas of the property. On the date that Grant Simmons unfortunately passed away, defendants had at least 5 children staying at the property, including him, 2 children who were 23 months old, a 1-year-old child, a 3-year-old child, and a 4-year-old child. For one of the children, who was 1-year-old, defendant Melanie DiMarzio
No idea, by her own admission, of the last name of a 1-year-old in her care. 5 children on site the day Grant died, ranging from an infant to a 4-year-old, all under one roof, one set of eyes.
Showing picture of DiMarzio's daycare operation. So the court documents were filed on March 20th after the city learned that she was planning to reopen her daycare on March 23rd, which is just 13 days after the incident at her home where a child passes away.
And 13 days later, she tried to reopen. Let that sit for a second. A child is dead. The cause still isn't public. The investigation is barely underway. And the plan was to open the doors again, like nothing happened. That's not what got DiMarzio in trouble on its own. That's what pushed the village of East Canton to go to court and force a restraining order before she could take in another child. We need to be honest about where this stands right now, because getting it right matters more than getting it fast. DiMarzio has been indicted, not convicted. She's facing a first-degree felony charge of involuntary manslaughter, a third-degree felony for endangering children, and a second manslaughter charge tied to the broader operation.
That we're talking about today. So we can turn here now our focus to the criminal implications. So now we're going to fast forward to July 16th, and DiMarzio is indicted by a grand jury on a felony first-degree charge of involuntary manslaughter, a third-degree felony charge of endangering children, and another third-degree felony charge of involuntary manslaughter. If convicted on all counts, she could face...
If convicted on everything, she's looking at more than 20 years and over $40,000 in fines. But indicted means accused. It doesn't mean proven. The autopsy results that would tell us what actually killed Grant Simmons still haven't been made public. And under the law, she is presumed innocent until a jury says otherwise. I want to be honest with you for a second, because this one got to me in a way a lot of these cases don't. I've got people in my life who drop their kids off every morning and just trust it'll be fine. Most of the time it is. But somewhere out there right now, there's another house just like this one. Another arrangement built on word of mouth and $45 a day. And nobody's checking on it until it's too late. That's not a comfortable thing to sit with. And I don't think it should be. So how did we get from March to an arrest in July? 5 months. That's not police dragging their feet, even though I know it feels that way watching this unfold. Building a case like this takes time. Investigators have to determine whether a child's death was the result of negligence, not just a tragedy nobody could have prevented. They have to wait on toxicology. They have to interview parents who are grieving and furious in the same breath. They have to figure out legally when a babysitter stops being a babysitter and becomes the operator of an unlicensed business, because that distinction is the entire case. And when the arrest finally came on July 21st, it came fast and it came hard.
We'll get her down there, get her booked, and then back doors open. Come on, honey.
This is one, I understand your job.
Right.
But this is a woman who's about ready to have it done.
We'll get her taken care of.
You're very good appearance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You've been here before.
All right.
I don't have to
You must leave all your children here, so that way you don't gotta put it in your property. Just leave it all here.
What you say? You'll call.
Yeah,
She'll get the call. She's gonna get booked, and then she'll probably see the judge, and she'll be able to give you guys a call.
She'll get booked in, and then she'll get a free phone call when she's put in the hold. They need cut off. Okay, they can cut them off there. They have equipment to do it.
Just take a deep breath. It's just a warning. I can't go anywhere, so she called me.
You guys transporting me want us to.
Step on down here. Take a deep breath.
We can.
Don't fall. Do me a favor. Just turn around. We do have to cuff you up. Go ahead and put your hands behind your
Any
back.
chance that you're pregnant?
No.
Okay.
No. My
Just relax. Palms together. Keep praying. There you go.
Body cam footage shows DiMarzio hyperventilating, barely able to stand. U.S. Marshals walking her through a process she was clearly never prepared for. Whatever she was or wasn't inside that house, in that moment, she looked like someone whose life had just permanently split into before and after.
But what you see is, unfortunately, are there hundreds and thousands of these. The only time we find out about these daycare centers being unlicensed is when a tragedy like this happens. And to have an 8-month-old die in
She was booked into Stark County Jail on a $100,000 bond, posted 2 days later. GPS monitor, pre-trial conditions, a hearing scheduled for August 19th. The civil case runs even further out into a trial set for December, which means this story isn't over. Not close. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Even if every allegation in that civil complaint turns out to be true, DiMarzio isn't the only person operating like this in America right now. She's just the one who got caught because a child died. There are unlicensed arrangements like hers running in basements and living rooms all over this country today, this hour, because the alternative costs more than a lot of parents can afford. That's not an excuse for what happened to Grant Simmons.
oh, I'll get over it, let's start again. You know, if you went into a doggy daycare, and I'm talking about just dogs and pets, would you want to send your dog to a location that had a death of there? And that's the thing. Since there's no record of that and no one would have known about it, she could have found other clients and did the same thing with them and saying, I'm cheap, I'm available, and do this without anyone knowing that this death occurred. And that's why the courts did the right thing, at least the civil side of it, is to shut her down and to make sure that everyone knows.
It's the reason cases like his keep happening. So here's what I keep coming back to. A system built to protect children only seems to notice when it's already too late to matter. Grant Simmons didn't get a say in who was watching him that day. His mother made the best call she could with the option she had. And somewhere between a $45 arrangement and a mother going to work, a little boy who loved his toy excavator never made it home. What would you have done in his mother's position? And who do you think actually owes this family an answer? Say it in the comments, because this one deserves to be heard.